everyone. I am back again for another astrology update. We've had some movement that's, well, significant to me because it's a part of our inner planets. And I think we need to talk about it because of some energies that are going on and happening. Every time especially our inner planets shift, we do feel this and it does impact us. And of course, our outer planets, of course, those impact us as well. But this one definitely. So on December the 29th, 2023, at 3:24 p.m. Eastern Time, after swimming in those Scorpio transformative waters, our goddess Venus, the goddess of love, beauty, harmony, and wealth, moved into the expansive sign of Sagittarius. This is a different energy, okay? And right when she does this, a few days later, she is going to have a square with Saturn. And this is going to change the energy up a bit as she enters into this, into the expansive energy of Sagittarius. Saturn is in Pisces right now. This is not his strong place, okay? But Pisces is where Venus is exalted, okay? This means she's very powerful here. So with Venus and Pisces, this is like a very special place for her. This is where she is treated like the queen that she is. This is her place where she goes to vacation. This is her luxury spa where she's being served champagne and the finest foods possible. But with Saturn there, with this squares means that there's something happening that it's it's immovable and it needs to be dealt with. This is going to put a little bit of restraint on that energy. In Sagittarius, she's wanting to grow and expand, but with that square with Saturn, it's saying, but wait a minute. Wait a minute, there's something that you need to face first. There's something that you need to deal with first. You're forgetting about something here. So this could be a feeling that love is hard. This aspect, a Saturn and Venus aspect, is the enduring love kind of things. It's love that you have to work for, that you have to earn. And when Venus is in a placement where she's just wanting to have fun and she's just wanting to be, Saturn is showing her a boundary that she's not very happy with at this time. So another aspect that Venus is having that is actually very, very good, and I'm not saying that her square with Saturn is not good, because they're there for a reason. Saturn shows up in our lives to give us a boundary where we need to set a boundary, where we haven't, where we've kind of neglected something. Or like, for example, with a Venus and Sagittarius, that could be indulgence, okay? And that could go with food or with buying things, or even, just being gluttonous and that sort of thing. And Saturn is saying, like, wait a minute, you need to slow down just a little bit. So anyway, another aspect that she'll be having is that she will have a trine with Chiron, who is still in Aries. And the last time that this happened, these placements, was around 1968 and 69. And if we look back at that time, that was around the time where Nixon come into office, and he declared that he would bring an end to the Vietnam War. And it actually ended, what, 1975. So Venus trined Chiron from 1969 to 1976. And if you listened on my last show that I had, I stated that anyone born between that time had Chiron in Aries. Okay. Now, and we do see what happened, what energy was given at that time, because, well, that was the end of the Vietnam War. That was. So she did bring some peace and harmony with a pointless war, but at the same time, there was other healing that needed to take place because our soldiers came home and they were not treated respectfully as they should have been treated. They were spit on. They were treated like it was their fault that this happened. But as we all remember, they were drafted. Many of them did not have a choice. So anyway, that's a different story, but she will be trining him. Venus, the exact trine between Venus and Chiron will be on January the 1st of 2024, and then again on October the 28th of 2024. The next time she does so will be December the 21st of 2025. So this is going to be some interesting energy as we go forward in the next year or so. So there may be things that come up that will really push your limits it's almost like a test. It's going to push you to see how far, is this really what you want? Um, that's one of the things that I have seen a lot, especially as a teacher, is that when something becomes hard, people just don't want to do it anymore. And that tells me that you're not committed to that. What are you committed to? And Saturn is about our obligations and our commitments. And so it's saying that if you really love this, you will stick through this. So, but in the detriment of that, it could mean staying in a relationship that is just not working too long. And I'm not meaning just strictly the like a romantic relationship. I mean all relationships, okay? So yeah, those that are in relationships, you could have some tests that come up just to see how strong your relationship really is. And again, that could be with friendships as well. With Venus, I feel like this is going to be more geared to the romantic relationships, that test about how committed that you are to that relationship. Now, some of the effects of the square could be feelings of loneliness. You could feel like you're all alone in the world. Um, and maybe it could lead to some self-doubt, especially like, poor self-image kind of thing. Also, it could bring about fear because these tests and these things that come up, we are creatures of comfort, right? So we want that feel good. And especially when we have energies like Venus and Sagittarius, it is feel good energy, right? So, but with this, it is about, sometimes that can be unhealthy. It's like doing something unhealthy. Drinking coffee is great and I love it, but too much caffeine is not good for you. That sort of concept. So, when we are presented with a challenge, with a change, that can invoke fear in us because as being creatures of comfort, we like our ruts, we like our comfort zones. And anything outside of that is the unknown, and it can bring fear to us as in, what is next? What is next? And this is where, you can have that. I can't do this. I'm not good enough. I mean, I can't, you get all that. I can't. But it's a test to push yourself, to show yourself that you can, and you can work through this. This is also a time that you realize that you have overcommitted yourself. And, that's maybe you have too many obligations. That is something that I can be very guilty of myself. And I do have to step back many times and say no to some things. I'm slower at doing things that some people may want me to be quicker at, but that's not the only thing on my plate. I have other things going on. I have a life. I have a full-time job. I still have a child at home. I have a marriage. I have a house to keep up. There's all these other things that I have students, that sort of thing. So there's many different things, many different facets to ourselves. And sometimes we can overcommit and we can find ourselves looking at those things. And that's what Saturn is good for too. He's showing a boundary to help you develop those healthy boundaries there. Also, there could be overindulgent. I mentioned that before, so be careful of that. This could be an energy of needing to conform to be accepted by others. Now, I don't know, when I grew up, and it could just be who I am, I don't like to conform. When I was never that way. I was never one that kind of that thought that, oh, I want these people to like me, so I must be like this or I must be like that. In high school, it was kind of hard, but I couldn't. It didn't feel right. And even in my life now, I'm not going to conform um, to, to get someone to like me or to accept me. That is the other person's problem and not my own. If I'm having a problem with that, then that is something that I need to address within myself. And this right here, um, you you should not have to conform. You should not have to, especially in a world that loves diversity. I hear that a lot. The acceptance of diversity. If you're going to be diverse, then you can't be all the same, right? Everyone is not the same if you are if you are diverse. So this is something that can come up. Also, Saturn can be calling us to draw boundaries in relationships. This could be in friendships. Sometimes all of us have that friend that likes to push those boundaries just a little too much. That you know, for example, if they send you a message and you're busy, you have a life, you're doing something, you can't answer right then. Well, then you get 3 or 4 different messages. 5 minutes later, are you okay? You're not answering. Blah 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 blah. Well, I was okay until now, until you're badgering me. And that's a boundary that needs to be set. This could also be where you're needing to spend some more alone time. Maybe you need to go to a place like this and sit by a fire by yourself. Maybe you need to go for a walk and be alone with your own thoughts. And the world won't, or the people in your life won't allow you to. That's when you have to, set those boundaries. Um, Even we always think that one thing that had me learning boundaries is that a job that I had a job to where, if I was having some downtime, the person I was working with was like, well, the da 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 da. Well, that created a workaholic. And it took some time for me to understand that life isn't about working all the time. Life is here to be experienced. And sure, we do have to pay our way in this world. We do have to do that, but we don't always have to have our nose to the grindstone. That keeps us distracted from life, from living, from experiencing what we are here to experience. So, it took a lot to get me to draw that boundary. And when that happened, I saw just exactly how much I was respected in that relationship. And that's just an example of something that I have went through, that where I've had to draw boundaries as well. And we have to understand there's a difference between being lazy and then resting. There's a big difference there. So resting is necessary. Going out in nature and um rejuvenation of your inner battery, so to speak, that is very much necessary. So remember that, drawing those healthy boundaries is not a bad thing. Um, you you can't we have to understand that we can't expect people to be at our beck and call 24/7, and we have to realize that. So this is a time that it's time to sober up. It's time to get up, um, not allow ourselves to escape, to drop into escapism using drugs or alcohol or anything like that to escape a situation. So it's time to sober up, and it's time to um, face a few things. Now, this energy can also bring about some cynical attitudes about love and life in general. So you have to watch out about that. Um, you know, again, you have to watch your perspective on things. That is the biggest thing, your perspective. So be careful here, as this can denote a time of sexually transmitted diseases, sexual boredom. So be careful, protect yourself in that aspect. This is also a time that you may receive some unexpected attention from people. Um, it may be good or bad, but again, you may have to set some boundaries there um, to protect yourself. Uh, this is also a time that pressure is going to be on love and harmony and that sort of thing. So, like the uniting people together. So, there's some pressure there. It's not going to last, but there's some pressure there. So you have to push through and endure this moment in order to come out the other side. Remember, I stated in our Cancer full moon reading that Fomalhaut, the asteroid, was involved there, and that is linked to the goddess Atargatis, which was the first mermaid myth. And from there, she helps us with, you know, taking us down deep into those into what people would call the shadow, right? It takes us down deep into our fears and makes us face these fears so that we can come back up to the light. That is very crucial. That is very crucial for that and for that full moon. And we're still operating in that energy of swimming down into those deep, dark waters so that we can come out the other side into that light. Um, so the last time let's see here, give me just a moment. This energy, I will say, is getting us to focus on opening up our hearts. And sometimes the heart has to break in order for it to open. So we have to realize that. Now Venus will have that trine with Chiron, as well as the North Node in February. And we'll talk about that in a later date. Now, I'll touch on it a little bit in this report, but we'll talk about that at a later date in depth. The last time that Venus was in Sagittarius, trining Chiron in Aries, was 1987. So that is when the harmonic conversion happened. I don't really remember that. I was too young to remember what was going on astrologically in 1987. Maybe some of you do. She also did so back in 2005. Well, I can remember that. I had my last son, my last child, in 2005. And that was a very, that year was it was so changing for me because it really changed my path. At the beginning of the year, I actually had an injury um, that caused me to I had to go on medical leave, and I ultimately lost my job at that time. But it was I was really discovering some different spiritual paths about myself. And, it was a time I was in Savannah and I was getting together with all the meetups and stuff like that. And, that injury actually prevented me from going to one of the meetups where there was a balcony collapse and a lot of people got hurt. Like my dear friend got really hurt at that, and that changed her life as well. It really made her really tap into more of natural healing, and she got more into astrology and stuff like that, and it was a time where a lot of us, and I remember that I had to uh not not completely start over, but there was a lot of tweaking I did. It was a change of course in my life. And again, I became in 2005, my two older children, they were older. They were 8 and 12. And then I found myself pregnant, later, a few months after my injury. And I had another child, so I became mommy again. So it was a different kind of energy. So on January the 19th, 2024, Venus will have a square with Neptune. And this is where we can have some illusions in love. And we can have some unrealistic views about love, relationships, as well as money. Um, this is also uh, it can be an energy of what you see isn't always what you get. When you meet someone and they give you, they present this certain person to you, and then you can find out, I don't know, 2 months later that they're really different than what they claim to be. So watch out for that if you're going on any blind dates. Um, Anything like that, if you're wanting to, that is, if you're looking for a relationship and you're wanting to build a relationship with someone, that's what I'm talking about. But, um, even if you are just wanting to see people and to meet people, meet different people, that sort of thing, um, be aware that that is a time they can put on a nice air about themselves. So what you see isn't always what you get. It can be the energy of people talking bigger than they are. Neptune is in Pisces still, so and that's where we're getting a lot of this energy of, and I've talked about some other aspects before about, he's where the um, false information is bled in. So, in that placement, that is, you have to look very hard to see through the illusion. Excuse me. So, um, also, in relationships, you can ask yourself if you and your partner are being honest with each other. Maybe you've been having some issues, maybe some stuff going on, and maybe you're not being honest with each other. Again, this could be into, Venus isn't just love, this is also money, and it can go into that as well. Neptune in Pisces is about illusions. So this could be unclear, right? Unclear communication. Mercury is still retrograde right now. So again, we have to look a little bit deeper sometimes to see that truth. So this goes in hand with love that is hard energy. That Venus squaring Saturn is about enduring. It is about, appreciating the work, appreciating what is blooming. Hard work, people just like, shy away from hard work. But when we are working through things, we fail to realize the beauty in the unfolding of it. Things may not always seem picture perfect, but if we step back and we look at that bigger picture of what's going on, we can see what's happening. It may seem very hard at the time, right? We have these where it's like we have this experience at that time. We didn't think we were going to see the end of it. But when we got through it, we look back and we see, okay, I see now why that happened. So this is, we can see this kind of energy happening here. working through things, going from A to B to C to D. That is a part of our life experience. If you're going from A to Z, you have missed a whole experience and you're not going to truly appreciate Z, the ending, as much as you would have as if you have taken your time and walked the path, stepping on that every stone and seeing what it had to offer you. But I will say, with Neptune's influence here as well, be careful with the escaping. Don't use drugs or alcohol to escape at this time, because you're going to, it may feel good for the moment and it may help you for that second, but you're only going to damage yourself in the long run because those problems are still going to be there. So you need to face those fears and move through it. You need to ask yourself, do I want to grow? Do I want to evolve from this place? Or do I just want to stay on this endless, the rabbit wheel? I mean, not the rabbit, the rat wheel, right? Of going around and around and around, the wash, rinse, repeat. What do you want to do? Do you want that stagnant where you're just running around in circles, or do you actually want to grow? So this is about being real and honest with yourself too. Are you being honest with yourself? I'm fixing to start talking about the 13 goals of any kind of magic practitioner, any kind of spiritual practitioner. And the first thing is knowing thyself. And if you've looked at my post and that sort of thing, I keep alluding to this. Know thyself. That is so important, to know thyself. And I will reiterate about that in a different video. Now, remember the energy is very sobering. It is waking us up. It's taking off those rose-colored glasses and opening our eyes. So remember, face them. Don't escape. I mean, I know sometimes you need to take the edge off. I get it. But what I'm talking about is don't escape there. Okay? Don't let that be your crutch. Face these problems and work through them. Venus will be in the sign of Sagittarius until she will move into the sign of Sagittarius December the 29th, and she will be there until January the 23rd of 2024. So there's many other aspects to consider at this time because our planets are on the move. With today, I'm recording this on the 30th of December, and Jupiter is going direct in Taurus. So this is very important too. Jupiter going direct in Taurus, this is going to move that energy. Taurus is one of Venus's planets. Okay, so this is impacting that. Venus is in Sagittarius, which is Jupiter's place. It's Jupiter's sign. That's Jupiter's home. And we have Saturn that's over in Pisces, which is an old Jupiter's home. And it's kind of like everybody's trying to please each other right now. And Saturn's trying to please Jupiter, the old placement, but Venus is trying to please Jupiter too. So we have a lot of, again, conformity happening. So we have to be careful with that and to be true to ourselves. So our planets are on the move. They are making some great connections, and they may seem tough, like this Venus-Saturn square, but I'm telling you, it's not, it's bigger in your head than it is in real life. Don't work yourself up, stay out of your mind so much and work through these. I think that you will very much be surprised at what happens when you do so, and the amount of healing that can take place within you once you do so. So this is, again, it's going to take us through it will work us through a healing that we just can't imagine. And I urge you to work through it, stay committed to yourself, and stay committed to your goals. Know who you are. That is your biggest point of know thyself. All right, guys, thank you so much for listening. And yeah, this was a shorter one. So I know you're probably happy with that. But stay tuned for my other videos, and I will see you next time. Many blessings to you all. And I wish you a happy new year.